Guys, all right, it's hard to read, it's nighttime, but we're on a 4x trip, the Bituscan, and here we go. This is an old plaque dedication that we did back in 2007. I was here for that, and it's for Ken Worthy. Maybe I'll come over here during the day and get a little footage, but it's about 10:40 at night. I just showed up, left my house at 9. There was a huge accident on the 10, and then they had like closed down one side of the road, the 74, to get up here, and they had to have a pilot truck. We had to follow them and wait for the other side to clear. It was just a whole hectic thing, but yeah, finally got here. All these people are here. It's hard to see, it's nighttime, but yeah, I'll get back to that. Set up here. Yeah, I got these weighed out. It's kind of nerdy, but whatever. So I know which one to use. Got a couple used bottles. I haven't used this stove forever. Got my water jug. I went light this time. Got my box with everything I need. My chair. And I'm sleeping in the back of my truck on my little Tempur-Pedic mattress that I usually go camping with on my cot. Got this little pad here underneath that. Sleeping bag, and I have a moving blanket. I think I'm gonna put it back there because it's pretty cold here, and us Californians aren't used to this weather. And it's like 2:30 in the morning. I thought I was going to sleep. My buddy went to sleep. He's been here all day and having a good old time. So I'm gonna put this moving blanket back here because I think it's gonna be cold. Yep. Excuse me. So yeah, it's gonna be there. No tent this time. This is the first time I've slept in the back of my truck. My other truck, I had a toolbox in the back. Yeah, and here's my buddy's Jeep. We're gonna do a walk around tomorrow on that thing. Pretty nice. Did some upgrades to it. We'll go over that tomorrow. 2019 summer Bituscan. Pretty rough this morning. Woke up at 6, went to bed at 2:30. Yeah, here's the book that I just got from the clamper. Bituscans, the 4x trip. So we're doing this. Gonna cook breakfast here shortly. Everybody's kind of shaking and baking, getting ready to roll. Departure at 8:30. Yeah, it's beautiful. It was cold last night, that's for sure. It wasn't freezing, but we're not used to cold weather. I don't know if you can see Lake Hemet's right there. It's hard to see. Zoom isn't that good. Alright, this is the first group leaving 8:30 a.m. Driver meeting's over. They're gonna go out to the museum. Well, you'll see, because we're gonna do the trip like an hour after them. I'm gonna take a walk out here to this monument because I don't think you can see it at night. Yeah, it's nice out. It was cold last night. It's freaking beautiful. Fuck yeah. Look at this. Fuck yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun trip. Alright, here's the monument. I'm not sure if you can read that. I'm gonna pause it. A few stragglers still leaving, but this is camp. It's a 4x trip. Historical Society. They put this together. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's sunny out and the pines a little bit. This meadow's nice. Sorry, I'm running on fumes right now. It's a bit late. Woke up early. Sorry for the cursing. Having a good time, that's for sure. Alright, get back to you on our lineup. When we do a lineup, get another view of the second lineup, count the rigs.
The Kenworthy plaque, I was humbugged when we did that, so I had to come up with the words. And I wrote down what I knew. Then I drove all the way up here. I used to live in Torrance back then, so I lived drove up here and met Margaret, and we sat right there at that little coffee table, and she went through the words and changed what we needed to change to make it real accurate. She's been here. How long you been here in this area? For all your life? 1924. Since 1924. Okay. Yeah. That's even longer than JP's been around.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what?
So,
JP's a
Margaret, thanks again. Always thank you for letting us put the plaque here on your property, and also for helping me with the plaque for Kenworthy.
Thank you for putting the plaque there. Everybody's enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And they're going to kind of check things out for about 20 minutes or so. They're going to come in and kind of check things out. I told them no spitting and nothing else like that.
No smoking, no booze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Danny, the director, will show you around.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
All right. Thanks very much. All right. And Nanny,
All right, Cass.
did you have anything you wanted to let them know? Or? Okay. We'll take off in about, right now it's 10:15, so we'll take off at about 10:40. We'll mount up and roll on out. And like I said, if you want to pass the hat is on the head of Cookie, I think.
Cookie's over here.
Yeah, so you can drop a buck in there and he'll make sure it gets where it's supposed to be.
He already got that.
Yeah.
There you go. I thought that was pretty funny. Stopped to use the restroom. All right, we're on trail. Holly's driving.
Whoop, whoop.
No radio. Just the AC. Holly's singing.
Yep.
Oh, Holly's singing a song. Let's hear it.
I don't know anything. That song sucked. Fresh out of songs, man.
That Lexus is in front of us, man. It's handling pretty smooth. I wonder if her air is up.
Air. Look at that fucking
Look at this old monument here. Found this trail. Just want to get it real quick. All right, you guys. Back to the trail we go. Lollygaggers.
His throat lubricant. Oh, it tastes terrible. I find that an occasional libation helps to strengthen my resolve. All right. Hey, good afternoon. Hey. There they are. There's our tailgunners. Okay, listen, we just passed a plaque down there that's interesting for two reasons. One reason is that it commemorates the murder of a guy named Juan Diego. Juan Diego is a Coahuila Indian that lived up in this area in an adobe nearby. Him and his wife, whose name was Ramona Lubo, lived in that adobe just up to the right of those power lines up there. Ramona was fine, but her husband, Juan Diego, he was a little bit what they call the loco Indian. Okay, that meant that he was kind of crazy, but kind of in a harmless way. He wasn't so bad that he would be belligerent, but he was just a little bit like we say about some folks here in the chapter, a half a bubble off. You know what I mean by that? Yeah, he's kind of an asshole. But he was a funny asshole, just like you guys. Anyway, one morning, Juan Diego left his home on a horse. And when he arrived back at home that night, he was mounted on a different horse. Well, in 1884, that's a bad thing. And so the horse that he rode back home on belonged to a fellow named Temple. Now, Temple, he was a white man. Okay, he was a white man that lived in the area here, and he identified the horse as his. And so he entered the home of Juan Diego and of Ramona, and he shot Juan Diego, he said, in self-defense. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't really know. Here's the rest of the story. So he went and he turned himself in at the marshal's office, and he said, this is what I did. This guy had my horse. I went to his house. I entered his house. He was belligerent. So I shot him in self-defense, and I took my horse, and that's it. There was a trial. It was a white jury. This guy was an Indian who was murdered, and, of course, kind of like in the way things go back then, they acquitted Temple. He was acquitted of the crime. Now, so there's two versions of the story. You have his version that says that Diego was being belligerent and that that Temple shot him in self-defense. Then you have Ramona's side of the story. Ramona said, no, Juan Diego didn't do anything. This guy just burst into our house. He was yelling profanities at us. He took a pistol and he shot Juan Diego, my husband, a couple of times and killed him, and then he left with the horse. If he had just asked about the horse, we would have given it back to him. I know that the horse didn't belong to us, but we didn't know who it did belong to because my husband's kind of a nut, and so we would have just given it back. There was no need to have shot my husband. So there's the two stories there.
Which one do you believe?
Yes. So now, later on, I don't know. I don't know enough, to tell you the truth, I don't know enough about it to say, but it actually did make me want to think to look into it more. Because later on, there's a lady, Helen Hunt Jackson, who was an agent for the Bureau of Indian Affairs out this way. And she took an interest in the story and eventually wrote a novel called Ramona. Maybe you've heard of it. From what I understand, it's loosely based on this incident. Ramona's the heroine of the story, and the book follows her exploits. And it made me want to read that, and I think I will get a copy of that, because they do have a Ramona festival down there in Hemet, where they reenact the play or the certain parts of the book. I don't know if anybody here has been to that. I've never been to it, but it's the second time. Have you?
Yep.
You're not lying to me, are you?
Years ago. No, I'm not lying.
We're wearing a red shirt.
It takes place in the Ramona Bowl.
It takes place in the Ramona Bowl. That'd be worth seeing.
Yeah, and towards the end of it, in the final stages of the play, all these freaking Indians jump out of the bushes and you didn't even know were there. And they come charging out of the bushes. It's pretty interesting.
Well, that'd be something. I think that'd be something worth. That'd be actually worth the trip to Hammond. Now, spoiler alert.
My kids went to
Now, the reason I don't believe him is because he's wearing a red shirt and his lips are moving. Yeah. Now, and of course, there's Ramona, the town of Ramona down here. So Helen Hunt Jackson is very famous for writing that novel, which sounds like it'd be something that'd be worth reading, since it deals with our own Billy Holcomb territory down here.
It's available on Project Gutenberg. It's public domain.
Does it have pictures?
I don't know.
Well, if it doesn't have,
Through the first chapter.
what good is a book without pictures? Anyway, worth reading. Now, the second thing that's interesting is that since we're all Holcomb fellers here, and we've all gone through the process, whether we wanted to or not, of putting up a historical monument, you can see what a monument looked like in the olden days. Now, that monument, I believe, was put up in '79, and there's two things that strike me about it. One is the fact that it's pretty small. Yeah, well, three things. Now, one, that it's still there, the tweakers haven't gotten it. It was just too far out for them to come and get, and it's too small to be of any value. Second, that they built a monument way the fuck out here. Okay? How did they get, we were trying to figure out, how did they get the Robertson's ready-mix cement truck? They must have a four-wheel drive one or something to get that out here.
Is this approximately where the ranch
Probably what they did, though, is brought a hand mixer and just mixed it there. And I was telling Phil, who's driving our car, there's Phil. Say hi, Phil. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Yeah, we were saying, you know, in those days, the plaques are only this by this, not anything near what we do now. And a lot of the plaques that they built back then, they weren't on monuments. They weren't on monoliths like we do now. They were just in the ground. They had small amount of cement or rocks affixed around them to keep them in place. I said the only person that I know who was in the chapter when that plaque would have gone up would be Sid, and he's on a trip to Europe right now, but I'm sure he'd tell us all about it. I don't think there was anybody here who was in the chapter in '79.
No.
Oh, when did you come in?
Trying to think about that. When? 86.
86, so a few years later. Yeah. Okay, so pretty cool story about Juan Diego and the story of Ramona and Helen Hunt Jackson's connection to that. What's going to happen next is this. I'm going to have a drink.
You're good. Chemtrails. Say it ain't so. Look at this.
Old man Thomas came to San Francisco in 1849. So he was a real 49er. Last night, if you did the ice worm cocktail, we talked about the Klondike rush of 1898. And a lot of people think that Robert Service, because he wrote all those poems about mining and all that he was a miner. He wasn't. Well, this guy Thomas, he was. He was an actual 49er, came to San Francisco, got involved in a number of different mining ventures, and then once the rush ended, he's still here in California, and he'd done rather well for himself. He came up to the Temecula area, bought a ranch down there, started running cattle. He wanted more land. He wanted a larger range, and so he came up here to Hammock Valley. To this valley. Didn't have a name yet. Okay. Came up to the valley that we're camped in. We'll just call it that for right now. And again, this is 1861, and he gets himself a pretty good sized spread. Amounts to about 15 square miles of land. And he starts running cattle up here. Now, two very fortunate things happened for him. Number one, there was a copious, that means a whole shitload, of rain in Southern California in 1861. And this valley held on to that water real good. Because what happened after 61 was a terrible drought that lasted 3 or 4 years. Despite what people say, drought is nothing new to Southern California. The 1861 to 18... Yeah. I know, it's all over California. Yeah, please don't send me... Yeah, I don't want to go to the re-education camp for saying that. The 1861 to 1865 drought killed cattle all over Southern California, except up here in this valley. So when Thomas started his ranch, his name stuck to the valley, so therefore Thomas Valley and Thomas Ranch. Okay? And when that drought hit, cattle are dying all over Southern California, except for his herds up here. So he did very well. As the number of cattle decreased, you can imagine that what happens to the price of cattle per head goes way up. So he was making a good deal of money. Not only was he raising cattle, he was raising sheep. Especially the ones with the little black faces. Oh, sorry. Anyway, what was I talking about? And so he did very, very well. So now we have this valley that we are camped in is now called Thomas Valley. And the peak here to the east of us is Thomas Mountain. Right? So then that's 1861. That starts rolling, and he's rolling in the dough by 1864. He's doing very well. He's also grazing on government leases here in the valley as well. By 1905, he's getting on in years, and so he sold out to Old Man Garner. We talked about Garner on the radio as we left camp, and a lot of you guys didn't hear that. Plus, it was many hours ago and many beers ago, so you probably have forgotten. So it was Garner who bought the ranch from Thomas. And so the name of the ranch was obviously changed from Thomas Ranch to Garner Ranch, which is what it's called now. And the name of the valley was changed from Thomas Valley to Garner Valley, which is what we call it now. Now, Old Man Garner, Robert Garner, ran the ranch. He bought it in 1905 and then actually moved up here in 1907 and then ran the ranch again. You're talking about 15 square miles. That's a shit ton of cows and grass and all that kind of stuff. Very successfully he ran the ranch until he died in 1930. His son Robert Jr. took it over and ran it until he died in 1945, and the Garner Ranch is still in the Garner family even to this day. Garner Ranch is kind of famous on account of that's where a lot of movies, Western movies, have been filmed, including the beginning scenes of Bonanza. You know Bonanza, right?
Yeah.
We got a right to pick a little fight bonanza. If anyone fights with anyone else, they gotta fight with me. All for one, one for all. This we guarantee. We got a right to pick a little fight bonanza. If anyone fights with anyone else, they gotta fight with me. Bet you didn't know the words to that song, did you? Thank you, Lord. But I ain't done yet. I ain't done yet. I ain't done yet.
Keep going.
That's right. Verse 2. But only that opening scene of Bonanza is filmed here in Garner Valley. Plus, if you've ever been to Virginia City, where Bonanza is supposed to take place, it doesn't look anything like this. Okay. At any rate, what we're going to do now is we're going to head back to camp. You have two choices. The shorter way is to go to the left. Just keep going down the left, follow everybody else down that way. It's something like 5 miles or something back to camp and back.
Up above it.
Doing big things.
All right.
That's gonna be great.
What do you think, Paulie?
I think we're gonna get a lot of hits.
Gonna have
fucking
20 the
massive
first
hits.
night, yeah.
Massive.
Asparagus, mushrooms, baked beans, bacon. Was that sausage, hot links? Yeah, this is their hot links. Yeah, good food. And then we have tri-tip. Oh yeah. Food will be ready soon. Having a good time, huh? Huh?
Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Yeah, making coffee with the firebox stove, like 1 from 5 more minutes giveaway, 500 subscriber giveaway. Haven't used it yet, so I'm gonna give it a shot. First time I tried to do it, it rained on me camping, so I had to put it away quick. So here I finally am gonna warm up some coffee, some water for coffee. We will see. I definitely need a cup of coffee. And Robert, thanks again. It's a cool little stove. I plan on messing around with it a little more. It's been busy. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Until next time. Old Jeep, look at, yeah, it's ready to go. Oh, look at, oh, what happened over here? Oh, yeah. He needs to have another beer, I think. Yeah, how you feeling, Paulie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, leave a comment, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Yeah. Tell Paulie to get well. Yeah, so we're on our way out. There's construction going on, so they have it stopped. A lot of people went the other way, the long way. And some people that have the trailers and the motorhomes, it's kind of a windy road this way, so they, you know, took the other route. A little bit longer, a little bit further, but smoother for those with trailers and motorhomes. We went with the construction route, wait here in the road until they let the other side pass, and then we're gonna pass ourselves. And they have like a pilot car that runs through here, so whatever. But we're at the end of it, so we're not gonna wait as long.